This is Chip Maxwell, and you're listening to the Retire Smart podcast with David Brooks. After a much-needed excursion across the pond, David Brooks returns to a surprising U.S. jobs report that sparked political drama, market jitters, and questions about the accuracy of government labor data. David breaks down the numbers, the impact of shifting labor force trends, and the political fallout at the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Plus, a closer look at the quiet but powerful reindustrialization of America as steel production and key manufacturing jobs make their way back home. David, we're going to have to do a travel log segment here. I mean, you took an honest-to-goodness vacation. Well, eventually you took an honest-to-goodness vacation. It started in New York City. There was a picture of you and your brother Lou, our compliance officer, toasting the firm from the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. Some other staff joined you out there. Your brother Steve joined you and Lou for dinner in New York City, and then the vacation really started. It was on to England, which was actually a trip down memory lane for you. Well, okay, let's back up. Tell us about what happened in New York, and then we'll go across the pond.
Well, so we were at a conference in New York. It's a wealth management conference. It was pretty nice. We got to have an intimate chat with Maria Bartiromo from Fox Business.
I see her picture on the screen.
Yeah, and just kind of where she is seeing business leaders talk about the fast and furious implementation of this the Trump administration, things that are on the positive side. There's a few negatives, but overall it was a positive thing. The fun thing is I got to take one of our lead advisors, Mike Schuettel, on the New York Stock Exchange floor for his first time ever there. Josh Cheadle, our director of wealth management, has been there a couple times before, like me.
For those watching us on YouTube, that's Mike Schuettel to the left and Josh Cheadle to the right in that picture with David in the middle there.
So anyway, that was enjoyable there. So it was a good conference, some great information there. And then, yes, I went to, I guess you could call it a vacation. It was still actually a work conference that I went and attended in Europe and took my little brother along. And so there we got to go to do some cool things. So I went to Ireland, several stops in Ireland. And so I am now I am a certified Guinness pourer. So I've been certified in how you properly draw a Guinness draft. It's a fun experience if you ever get to go there and do it. They have this VIP experience. Anyway, I did find my way to a couple distilleries in Scotland and Ireland and saw some pretty good topography. It was a beautiful thing. While I was there, Chip, I didn't even get a chance to send you this. I did have to sit down and have a fireside chat with Dr. Robert Shiller, PhD and Nobel Economics Prize winner. We referenced some of his research on this show. The Case-Shiller Index is at all-time high right now, which is a way of saying stocks are probably overvalued on traditional metrics. And also Dr. Jeremy Siegel from Wharton School of Finance, CEO of Wisdom Tree Investments.
We've cited him, too, on this show.
We've cited both of them. Yeah. So I did not know. So we've done both of their research. I've met them both before. But I didn't know they actually both were in the PhD program together at MIT. Robert was 1 year ahead of Jeremy. They met there in line they had to get vaccinated of all things for the school. They had to get a shot or something, and they had to stand in line, and alphabetically their names lined them up to each other. Okay. And they've been friends for 50 years.
Shiller and
they often vacation together. Anyway, it was interesting because Jeremy Siegel was incredibly bullish in his outlook on the U.S. economy based on the Big Beautiful Bill and the implementation of productivity enhancements in AI. Robert Shiller on the other side, Dr. Shiller was extremely bearish because of the stretched valuations, not on the economy, just bearish on asset prices and thinking they need to reset. Real estate, stocks, the whole 9 yards. So it was very interesting how good they are and how they actually sometimes attack each other and write papers against the other one's research because they say, look, our friendship means we have to call you out, and I think you're wrong in your formulaic decisions. But it was a really neat time to listen to them speak about it. So
that'd be fascinating. And, people may forget, we don't talk about it that often, but you lived in England during your childhood. So it really was a trip home to some degree.
Yes, and the country has certainly changed its shape and makeup quite a bit since I was there as a kid. But yeah, it's always fun to go back and see stuff. I love visiting Europe a lot because I love old architecture. I love topography changes. And so if you've never gotten a chance, it's actually cheaper now than it was just a few years ago to go to Europe. So I would recommend you consider doing it.
You did make it to the continent, or your luggage did anyway, I guess.
I got my luggage 4 days later, but yes.
Oh, no.
So
okay.
my luggage spent the weekend in Amsterdam.
Oh, all right.
So I will tell you, it was Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Have you ever seen that movie?
Oh, boy.
I was routed to 2 different cities I didn't plan on going to on the way home and had to take 4 flights to get home. But anyway, made it home in one piece.
All right. Well, speaking of making it home, back here at home, hey, we've mentioned we're cooking up some events for the Teammates Mentoring Program. We want to promote the recruiting of mentors. We ran into some scheduling challenges for the events. We want to do them in August. We're going to have to push those back to later in the fall, but stay tuned. We will roll out the details as they become available. We've had Des Moines Adams on the show. We are big sponsors of Teammates, and we really want to make those a success. So stay tuned for more on those soon to come. All right, David, into the news we go. Well, so the first Friday of the month, we get a jobs report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics on the job performance of the previous month. And it's a newsworthy event, but it isn't always as dramatic as it was this time. I'm going to throw you 2 CNBC headlines here. Okay, the first one is, and this was at, this was at 1:37 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Friday, August 1st. U.S. added just 73,000 jobs in July, and numbers for prior months were revised much lower. Now, less than an hour later, 2:20 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Friday, August 1st, Trump fires Commissioner of Labor Statistics after weaker than expected jobs figures slam markets. All right, so the critics pounced on Trump. Oh, yeah, shoot the messenger when it's his fault. What's going on here, David?
Well, so let's tackle the second one later. I didn't like that he fired, at least on this day. Maybe the person deserves to be fired. The whole department, frankly, probably needs to be thrown out because obviously we've been talking about this for the last couple of years. We cannot count on or rely on this data to be anywhere close to accurate. The revisions, we've always had revisions, but it's been within the margin of error, right? There's a tracking error. It's going to be a couple percentage points.
As well as the government sector needs reliable numbers
right,
coming out of the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Because we are making forecasts, macro and micro, on the economy, which is going to change the valuation of assets like stocks, real estate, bonds, et cetera, on this data. And the revisions have just become wild swings. If you remember last September, oh, yeah, there's 900,000 jobs. Yeah, they didn't count. Remember, they wiped out almost 1 million jobs in one day of revisions? Well, they just took out over 250,000 jobs the last 2 months and then said we only earned 73,000, which, again, will probably be revised down next month when we get the numbers. So politically, though, that was probably a messy thing to do to fire this person on the same day. It'd be one thing to do at another point. But let's focus on the numbers themselves. What's interesting is inside there is the labor force. The unemployment didn't change because people are leaving the labor force, right? So the unemployment number would have ticked up. If the labor force participation was the same, you'd have a 4.9% unemployment number, and that would have spooked the markets even more. That's why they sold off. Now, what's interesting, though, is foreign-born workers versus U.S.-born workers over the last 9 months is a drastic different picture. We've had 1.5 million jobs added in the last 9 months of U.S.-born workers, and we've lost about 1.5 million jobs from foreign-born workers.
That is flipping the dynamic that we saw in previous years, right?
Correct. Again, all this will settle out. We need to get the immigration stuff figured out. Obviously, that's a hot topic in the political world right now. But we're going to need to immigrate people to do jobs here. I mean, people need to just come to realize that. But it does need to be controlled, and we need to understand where we're immigrating from. And I think we just have rules on how you're going to assimilate. We just had a congresswoman, I believe Democratic, I don't know what state, talking about, I think she's from Romania. I can't remember where it was, but it was on the news last night. And she's like, I'm Romanian first. Well, then, sorry, you shouldn't be serving in Congress. If you're going to be a citizen here, then you need to be our citizen first. We will welcome you with open arms. But pledging allegiance to your old country is ridiculous. Now, can you bring in some of the cultural and things that are part of your heritage? Of course. But if you're not going to pledge allegiance to the United States, how can we allow someone like that to serve in Congress? I have a problem with that.
Now, here's something that's not getting as much attention, David. This is a Fox Business headline. Steel company CEO exposes major manufacturing shift the mainstream media is missing. This is Drew Greenblatt. He's the CEO of Marlin Steel. He says, hey, while you're fighting about some of these other numbers, the reindustrialization of America is happening, and he called it a fabulous, optimistic time. Is he looking at the world through rose-colored glasses, or is this
No,
real?
I think it's true. Is you're going to see specific industries reshore, right? The broad strokes that have been pitched from the administration with the Liberation Day and the tariff stuff, the noise is that we want to reshore manufacturing. Well, we're not going to reshore all manufacturing, nor should we, in my humble opinion. But there are going to be certain industries, especially ones that are important to defense spending, right? If we've been importing 85% of our steel, right? We've seen all the steel mills in Pennsylvania, which I lived as a kid for a short period of time, Allentown, Pittsburgh, right? These are steel mill factories, and they were whole communities that were ripped apart economy when we offshored all that steel production. Now that it's coming back and it can be done cleaner, more efficiently, right? It's better for the environment, but it creates good, well-paying jobs that AI will not replace, right? Mike Rowe was recently, I don't have the article with you, but he was recently on a TV show and talking about basically they went to BlackRock's headquarters and talked about where they need tradesmen. And BlackRock said we need 500,000 electricians in the next 2 years. Where are we going to get? 500,000. We need 140,000 plumbers. We need pipe fitters to build our submarines, our defense spending. And that's the other thing is our steel that is building our ships should be here for defense reasons, right? So this is economically long-term a boom. It's a good thing for the economy. We're going to have to go through this transition phase of which industries truly do stay reshored or continue to reshore and which industries we're going to say, okay, and then the tariffs will work themselves out. Now, I'm still a little, look, I like the administration on a lot of things, but I can't stand how at 2 o'clock, oh, now tariffs are 50% on this country. That is very hard to plan. As a CEO of a company, I will tell you that is very frustrating for business owners in any sector. We just need to know the rules of the road so we can play accordingly.
Thank you for listening to the Retire Smart podcast with David Brooks. If you want to learn how to generate lifetime income, reduce your tax bill, and maintain your lifestyle in retirement, visit retiresmartpodcast.com. And make sure to subscribe to keep up with new episodes every week.